Let's learn how to make hamburger buns today. Last time we made hot dog buns. These are just as simple, if not more easy, because you're going to have a little more flour to work with and it'll be a less sticky dough. Here are the ingredients, but as always, I'll include a link below that'll give you full nutrition information and a written recipe. You want to start out with 2 cups of flour, and it can be any kind of flour. I'm using all-purpose flour. You can use bread flour. You just need 300 grams or 2 cups. To this, we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of sugar or 25 grams, and again, that's for browning. 1/2 teaspoon of salt or 2.5 grams, and we're going to mix it together just like we did the hot dog buns. I like this recipe because you can put it in the stand mixer if you want. Add in 1 egg or 50 grams, 2 tablespoons of oil, 30 milliliters, and finally we're going to put in a 1/2 cup of water, 120 milliliters, and again I dissolved 1 teaspoon of yeast or 3.5 grams. You don't have to dissolve the yeast. This is all preference. I don't like the little bits of yeast. It doesn't seem to rise as well when you don't dissolve it. Some people say it's fine, some people say it's not. It's all up to you. And you're just going to mix this up briefly until you get it into a crumbly mess like this. And at this point, you're just going to start bringing it together. Just push it together and it will start to stick. It doesn't look like it's going to come together at first, but it will, I promise. It only takes a few minutes. If you're using a stand mixer, you would just put this all in the stand mixer, turn it on whatever speed it tells you to. Mine is a 2, and you let it go for about 10 minutes or until it's no longer sticking to the sides and it stretches easily. And that will be it for the stand mixer. Sometimes I wonder why I do this by hand still, except for it's very relaxing for me. And as you can see, it's really starting to come together, isn't it? You didn't think so at first, and it's actually a slightly tacky dough. It's going to stick to your hands a bit. And if you find that because you're not using metric and you're not weighing this out and it's a little too dry or a little too wet, you can add a teaspoon of water or a teaspoon of flour at a time and see how you like the consistency. Just try not to add more than 1/3 of a cup. And here we go. As you can see, this is starting to become a very nice elastic dough. This took me about 9 minutes, I believe, and it's pretty much ready. So you're just going to put it into a dry container and you're going to cover it and you're going to let it rise for at least an hour, probably 2. Mine takes around 2 because it's just really a cold day today. And make sure to cover it. You want to use a lid or cling wrap or a damp towel or even a dry towel. If you use a dry towel, it sometimes can dry out the dough, so keep that in mind. The next thing you want to do is weigh this out. It should be about 500 grams if you measured it with a scale. And you want to divide this into 6 pieces for a medium-sized hamburger bun or 5 for a really large one. If my math is correct, I believe it's going to be 83 1/3. So just, it doesn't have to be precise. Get it around 83. If one's 83 and one's 84, you're going to be okay. Again, if you don't have a scale, just try to eyeball it and try to get it into 6 equal pieces the best you can. Now, one thing I do want to point out, I have a viewer on here. He mentioned that he uses parchment paper on his scale and it keeps it clean, so that's awesome. You might want to try out that method. The next thing you want to do is you just bring in the sides and then you're going to turn it over and you're going to roll it into a shape like this using your hand. Once you get this shape, just put it over to the side and do the next one. And we're going to do all 6 of these, and I'm just going to show you the first 3 and then we'll come back to the next part. The reason why you do this is because you create a little bit of a tension and it'll help the rise of the bread whenever you go to the next step. If you didn't do this point or this step, it would be like a really flat hamburger bun. I've tried it without doing this step and it's just really flat. So just take the time and roll it into the ball the best you can. Now you're going to wait and cover this for at least 5 minutes, and that lets the gluten relax and will let you push it into a shape that's similar to a hamburger bun. If you don't wait, it will just fight with you and just keep bouncing back, and then you'll get misshapen loaves. If you like, use a ruler. For a standard size hamburger bun, it's about 4.5 inches or 11.5 centimeters. You can go anywhere from 4 to 5 inches on this recipe, but the 4.5 is actually a pretty decent size. And all you do is just take it over here and you flatten it. And once you get it as flat as you can, pick it up and then rotate it. And that lets the gluten relax a little bit and it will bounce back just a tiny bit. And then you press again. This helps it keep a really nice circular shape. And if you need a ruler to do this, feel free to use a ruler. Or again, you can just eyeball it. You want to make these roughly about 1/2 inch bigger than the hamburger bun that, or not the hamburger bun, the actual hamburger that you're making, because it will shrink back about 1/2 inch when it bakes. It shrinks out back and puffs up. Then you're going to put these on a tray. If you want them to touch together, get them really close together, give them about 1/2 inch apart. And if you don't want them to touch, then just give them a little more space. Again, just press down, pick them up, turn them 1/4 of a turn, press down a little bit more until you get them to that 4.5 inch or 11.5 centimeter circular shape. And they're about 1/2 inch tall, or actually no, I'm sorry, they're about 1/4 inch tall. Once you got that done, cover them and then set a timer for 45 minutes. When that timer goes off, you want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. And we are going to bake these for 15 to 17 minutes or until golden brown. These are 15 minutes in my oven, and as you can see, they're pretty delicious. We're going to remove them, and I'm going to cut one open so you can see what they look like on the inside. And please don't cut like this. Get a cutting board. Have a little common sense. Apparently, I don't grow a lot of common sense in my garden, and this is what I end up with. This was a pretty dangerous thing to do. You're sliding around on this very slick surface, and you can get cut easily. Say hi to Maggie. She came to visit. As always, when I slice fresh bread, she's always there. See how simple it is to make your own hamburger buns? Why are we buying these in the store and spending twice the price? Seriously, I mean, they're delicious when you make them on your own. I'm curious, what do you like on your hamburgers? Comment below. Let me know. Visit me at jacksonsjob.com for more recipes, and in the meantime, happy baking.